welcome to the show. My name is T and we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Remember, every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I always have a new episode for you where I'll have a new opinion piece, a new interview, or some horror news for you to get caught up on. But throughout the week, I am dropping countless reviews with movies, TV shows, games, books, whatever it is in the world of horror. You don't want to miss any of that, and the best way to stay on top of everything I'm dropping is to get subscribed to my Linktree. And you can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my Linktree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews and my rankings of the movies throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content, including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page for my horror gaming, which we're going to get to The Thing remastered here very, very soon, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy my 20% off discount, anything in the Fangoria shop, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Take advantage of all of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, especially if you are watching on YouTube, as the more followers I get, the more content I can put out for all of you. And there's a lot of exciting stuff that's coming here on the way, folks. Got some great interviews coming up for you, and we know there's a lot of big horror still left in this year for us to discuss as well too. I don't want you to miss any of that. Hit subscribe. So I'm still playing a little bit of catch up, folks. I had to take a little bit of a break for myself here last week because I was going ham with all the reviews now, y'all. I had them back to back, and I kind of burnt myself out a little bit, so I had to take just a couple extra days for myself. But I promised y'all a review in the Alien franchise that I have not gotten to yet, and that's exactly what we're looking at here tonight. Folks, tonight I am talking Prometheus. I am finally getting around to the long-awaited Alien prequel. Folks, at this point, I've talked about Alien, I've talked about Aliens, I've talked about Alien 3, I've talked about Resurrection, and I've talked about Romulus. I've talked about 5 of the 7 Alien movies if we're not counting AVP and Requiem. So with this one, it just leaves Covenant in the main series. So I don't know if I'm gonna get the Covenant this year, honestly. Like, obviously I've seen it a bunch of times because, folks, Covenant's like in my top 3. But I don't know if I'm gonna get back to it this year, just so I can get a little bit away, a little distance from Alien at this point here. So if I don't, folks, I promise you I'll hit Covenant next year. But yeah, tonight we are gonna talk Prometheus, which I know is a very polarizing movie for so many of y'all out there. Now, some of y'all are in the camp of this movie is absolutely brilliant because it basically says we're going to go into the Alien universe, but we're going to stay away from all of that because with the movies that have been released so far, y'all have been 50-50. So like, y'all really enjoyed Alien and Aliens, but at least at the time, and still to this day, depending on who you're asking, we're not big fans of Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. And so there was this whole idea that they were going to make a prequel that would eventually lead to Alien. And the idea is that it would reveal a lot of information about the space jockey that's in the original film when they go to LV-426, that it would reveal like where the xenomorph came from, the eggs, the face huggers, the queen, like all of this stuff. We're going to get answers for all of it. But I have to feel, and again, this is without me diving too far into that, I have to feel that after the reception to Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, the idea was that maybe, like, if we don't have Sigourney Weaver and we don't have like James Cameron or Ridley Scott on board here for this, then we kind of have to distance ourselves from as much of it as we possibly can. And that seems to be what happened here with Prometheus. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer for Prometheus before, Prometheus tells the story of the Weyland Corporation, who find some evidence supporting where we came from, how humans came to be. And in an effort to find these long-awaited answers, a team is sent off following the trail of a map where they will encounter the engineers who will hopefully lead us to why we are here in the first place. But when this team gets there and finds this discovery, they find out that our supposed creators might not be as happy with what has turned out to be human life as we might think that they would be. That is Prometheus, folks. Now, I will have to admit, I didn't see this one in theaters. You know, I saw Resurrection, I saw the first AVP, I saw Covenant, and I saw Romulus. So I've seen majority of the films in the Alien franchise, but very much just like the modern ones. And I think with Prometheus, there was a lot of word of mouth when that movie first came out, and it wasn't good word of mouth from the people that I trust and the people that I know. And like a lot of those people I still talk to these days. And back then, I think I was definitely a little bit more easily influenced with my opinions on movies. And I know it's not that long ago, only about 11 years ago, but that was enough to keep me from going and seeing something in theaters, spending my hard-earned money. And I love the Alien franchise. I really, really do love the Alien franchise. Like hell, I have the quadrilogy, the DVD collection. I have that awesome anthology Blu-ray collection that we all have. I have actually the separate, the separate entries from the quadrilogy as well too. I bought Aliens and an Alien as well. So like I love this franchise to death here, but I'm a big fan of the Xenomorph. And everything I was hearing coming out of Prometheus earlier on was that the Xenomorph wasn't really featured. And that would have been a fuck up had I never went and saw this movie, because folks, I'm a big fan of Prometheus, honestly. I'm on the side that falls in that it's a really, really, really good movie, honestly. You take the idea, again, of this team going and trying to track down where we came from and get like these hard, firm answers. And that's a great way to approach the Alien franchise, I think, because we don't really know anything about like the Xenomorphs. And the ongoing story that we've gotten in the franchise pretty much just focuses on Ripley. It's not a bad thing at all. Ripley is a fantastic character, but that is like our only link besides the Xenomorphs themselves, really, to any kind of mythology here in this franchise. So in my opinion, and I think in a lot of other opinions as well too, I think that it was an open book to where you could kind of just write out what you want, because there's plenty of comics and books and other media that like followed other avenues, and they could have done that, but they didn't. They went this route here instead and kind of completely separated it. And having the Weyland Corporation is, of course, like the big tie to it. Having our synthetics, our androids, David, played by Michael Fassbender, in one of the best roles here of our age right now, y'all. Again, David is a force of nature between Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and I can't believe that so many people don't want to see that story concluded, honestly, because he's one of the best villains of all time, in my personal opinion, honestly is. But we have these staples of this Alien franchise, and they get to this to this world to where we're gonna get these answers, and they find they find like ships, they find corpses, they find they start to find like the black goo, which is like the whole crux of this prequel, like the prequel can't really say trilogy because Romulus is not really a part of that, but it was the focus of the prequels was this black goo and what it had the ability to do. And the movie does dive into, the creation of what would eventually lead us to like the Xenomorphs, but in reality, like the themes there are so much different, because they're vaster. One of the biggest things that the Alien franchise talked about, at least in the old school era of that up to like Resurrection, was motherhood and becoming this person who has to take care of this surrogate family, whether it's a child or whether it's this group of people. Basically, you're this mother who has to care for her flock, care for her family, care for her kids, whatever you want to say. And when we get to Prometheus and we meet our protagonist, Elizabeth Shaw, played by Noomi Rapace, there's the backstory for her is that Shaw can't have kids. Shaw is there with her partner, what is the guy's name? Holloway is there with her partner Holloway. Both of them are, part of the science crew here of the Prometheus, and she can't have kids, and it's something that the two of them, obviously have had issues with in the past, still kind of struggle with as well too. And the movie very much still continues on this running theme that the other films had talking about motherhood. and giving that choice to Shaw, but in the worst possible way, in a way that nobody would really want to have a child, honestly, even though we're kind of talking almost in a way a bit about like IVF, almost like that's again another allegory in this here. And so again, we're getting a good staple that's a part of the Alien franchise, but again, folks seemingly had issues with that part of the story. You know, the other part where the rest of the expedition tracks down like the black goo and brings it back, and that leads to David wanting to experiment with it and starting his dastardly ways of how he's going to fuck over his entire crew here and in Covenant as well too. And you know, it's so interesting because like you look at David, and you know, David's not inherently evil or anything, but it's this whole idea of, can synthetics become something more than a robot? Can they have these emotions? Can they think? Can they become creative? Can they have imaginations? Like all these things. And you know, David, seeing him explore that is so fascinating, and the way that he kind of tricks Holloway into taking like the drink with the black goo in it, and that ends up, you know, screwing everybody over, because then Shaw gets pregnant with the alien creature that leads to the xenomorph, and you know, we get there basically. Like, it's just a fascinating way looking at the birth of David's like succumbing to becoming this villain, this antagonist of this franchise. And honestly, you know, the like one who's, in my opinion, better than Burke even, honestly. And I know Burke did a lot of dastardly shit, but David is far worse, in my opinion, just by I'd say just by the mere number of lives that David's like fuck-ups, and they're not fuck-ups, but David's intentions have caused here. I'd say David is absolutely a worse, like a better villain than Burke ever was, honestly. But I know, apples and oranges. Either way though, this story here, I really did enjoy, because at its simple core there, we're trying to find out about the engineers, who this is presumably who it was on this ship in Alien, even though it's not the same ship. These are not the same ship at all. It's just like the same type basically, but it's giving us a bit of a backstory in Alien. And I think that the issue with it I have, at least, because I really do enjoy Prometheus, but the big issue here with the film is that we don't really get those firm answers, and it kind of falls by the wayside, as it should, because we understand that still at the end of the day, we're in the Alien universe, and aliens are going to alien, and at a certain point has the switch over into horror mode, to where like our protagonists are getting killed by these beings, whether it's the xenomorph or some other type basically. And that doesn't change the fact, though, that Prometheus so badly wanted to tell this other story that we don't really get a satisfying conclusion to. It's, you know, the engineers talk to David, they're immediately like, what the fuck, and kill everybody in the room that they possibly can, and start going after Shaw at that point. And it just feels like a bit of a letdown compared to the idea of, let's explore deep down this avenue, but then we kind of are just going to pull it back to what we've done before. And again, I'm a huge fan of where we ended up going. We got Covenant, which is one of my favorite films in the franchise, and I'm sure studio interference played a bit of a role in it, as I'm pretty sure that was the explanation for the xenomorph showing up in the post-credit scene, or what do they call it? It's not the necromorph. It's the damn, I'm not gonna remember what the name of the thing was there. But whatever that version of the xenomorph was at the like the post-credit scene or the after-credit scene of Prometheus, I'm under the impression that was the studio demanding something like that, and end up showing up, which got no follow-up in the least bit, at least in the films. I don't know, like Prometheus does shoot for the stars. It's trying to do something grand, and the idea of staying away from this creature that we've been following at this point for, you know, 30, 40 years, that's a very ballsy decision to make, and I understand why that just doesn't work with a lot of people. And then you don't really care about the idea that's being sold instead, because you're not getting what you're already used to. So while I do understand the disappointment, I guess I enjoyed the attempt. I enjoyed what they shot for here with it, honestly. I thought it was different. I thought it brought the same, some of the same scares that we've got in the Alien franchise before, but doing the one thing that the franchise does really well, which gives us a great cast of characters, because that's one thing about Prometheus that it does really, really well. Not everybody's fleshed out the way that they could be, but those main characters you really do enjoy. Like Shaw, I enjoy Janet, I enjoy Vickers, like I enjoyed Holloway, and of course I love David. Like, I love the characters they really do give us a focus on, and that's one thing the Alien franchise has always done extremely well. So I feel that this movie really did provide a lot of the staples that we've come to know, except the xenomorph, but then it also charted out something vastly new, something that I was hoping to see a conclusion to, and I don't think obviously we'll ever get a chance to get. Romulus was successful, Romulus was well received, minus, that one element of it, but I don't think, unfortunately, that we're going to get to go back and find the further adventures of David. And we got a little bit of, not closure, but at least a little bit of love shown to Prometheus and Covenant and Romulus, and that's great. But, God, I sure wish, especially after getting even higher for me with Covenant, that we get to see a follow-up for it. So, I don't know. I'm curious what y'all think about it here. Again, Prometheus is very much a film that I like. So tell me about what you think about it in the comment section. Again, I'm ready for it. I know a lot of you just aren't big fans of it, but tell me in the comment section your thoughts on Prometheus. I'm excited to hear about that, y'all, and hit that subscribe button. I'm still figuring out what my prize is going to be here for the month of September, but here in our first September, or our first Wednesday episode of September, I'm going to reveal who won. A is for Alien. So I'm going to reveal that here on our first Wednesday episode. And stay tuned, y'all, because here in the month of September and October, when I don't have an interview or a specific opinion piece for you or some big news, I'm going to be talking every week about a collection of films you can check out on various streaming services to fit that spooky mood that you're getting into for the next couple of months. So I'm going to have those helpful hints. Don't miss it. Hit that subscribe button. And folks, I'm getting back to Mayfair Witches, Interview with the Vampire, and we're getting more reviews coming up here soon for y'all. So stay tuned for that and hit subscribe. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022, and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription, or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.